Before Marc Jordan became one of Canada's most respected singer-songwriters, he learned to understand the world through sound instead of words. Living with profound dyslexia, music became his language, shaping melodies filled with depth, emotion, and truth. Now his remarkable journey is told in Rhythm of My Heart. It's the authorized biography of Marc Jordan, a story of resilience, creativity, and finding your own voice. His songs have appeared on tens of millions of records worldwide, over 35 million units sold, featuring his compositions. And many major artists have recorded his songs, including Rod Stewart, Diana Ross, Cher, Bette Midler, Bonnie Raitt, Joe Cocker, and Chicago. This is Meet Me for Coffee, and we're with Marc Jordan. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you know what? I've been looking forward to this for a while. When you look back at your childhood, how did dyslexia shape the way you experienced the world before you even understood what music would become for you?
Well, at the beginning, it was very profound because my teachers, streamed me into the sort of in grade three, for instance, my teachers in October or November they rearranged the chairs, and I was put in with the problem children. and uh, and I recognized that, and we were divided into Spitfires, bombers, and rockets. And and I put up my hand and I asked if I could go and sit with my friends, and she said, "No, you're a bomber now." And when she said that, I kind of got the message, that I was being sort of streamed into the less than group. And so it was a problem because there was no word for dyslexia back then. There was no diagnosis for it. They didn't know what it was. So they just assumed that you were kind of unintelligent and couldn't learn, and so you were treated that way.
Was there a specific moment when you realized music could become your language?
Um, well, my father was a singer, so there was always music around the house, and um, I, my brothers took piano lessons, and they would be laboring over learning their lessons for the week, and I would just I would be listening to them, and I could just go and play the pieces by ear, and it used to really piss them off. But so I knew I could do music, and then I heard Bob Dylan for the first time, and that was a real eye opener for me. And I went out and I bought a guitar the next day.
That's incredible. Like, obviously, some people see dyslexia as an obstacle, but for you, it became like a creative engine. I mean, you went and bought a
Yeah.
guitar the next day, and then the shift happened. Can you describe imagining music visually and spatially? Like, can you walk us through what a song looks like in your head before it really exists?
Well, I see it like a movie, and the lyric and the melody are just they're not different. They are just one thing for me. So it's just a movie, and I get all my information about life visually. So I can walk down the street and get a and and see five things that suggest little movies to me, little scenarios. And that's where I get my ideas for songs. Also, because I see melodies, they suggest words to me. They suggest stories to me. So if I often work from tracks, and and sometimes I write them, sometimes I get them from other people. But once I have one that I like, I immediately know what to write and how to write it.
Would you say limitations sometimes forces artists to discover deeper originality, maybe?
Well, I think all obstacles are just opportunities in a way. You know what I'm saying? It's like it just forces you to find a way around it. You know, if there's a wall in your path, then you look for a way around it, and you either climb over it, you knock it down, or you go around it.
Would you say to young musicians today who feel defined by learning a challenge or different?
Um, Say that again. You kind of cut out there for a sec.
What would you say to young musicians today who feel defined by a learning challenge or difference?
Um, I would say a learning challenge can be your superpower because it makes you different. And so you can use that to to be original. And so I don't like the even the word disability because it's just another way of orienting towards the world we live in.
Very well said as well. And I mean, like when you're writing a melody, like that will live forever, what tells you this one matters?
Hmm. Well, I just have to use, you know, I just have to use my own taste and um it's just a feeling you get, you know. Like for instance, when I was writing a rhythm of my heart, I wrote the chorus and then I took it to my writing partner John Capek. But I wrote the chorus sitting in my studio in Hollywood, and I I knew it was something, you know. I didn't know Rod Stewart was going to do it, but I knew it was there was something about it that really had a kind of torque, and I remember feeling that.
When that song was picked up by Rod, can you explain like where you were and when you found out and how you felt?
Well, I'd been dropped by Warner Brothers, Warner Chappell Publishing, a few weeks before that, and I was sitting in Beechwood Canyon with Amy in our house having dinner, and the phone rang, and she said, "Don't answer it. Just we'll finish dinner and you can call them back or whatever." And I said, "Ah, I'll just answer it," and it was Rod, and it was that call really changed my life in a lot of ways.
Absolutely. Incredible. And then how was the celebration after you hung up the phone?
I can't really discuss it, man.
Well, I mean, if the phone's gonna ring, it's gonna drive you absolutely nuts until you pick it up. You never know who could be on the other
Exactly. You gotta
side of
pick
the
it
phone.
up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I understand your wife might be a bit bothered by that, but it ended up being a good phone call for once.
You're sure.
It's good to hear about that.
Yeah. No, it was a good one.
So let's transition to your book, also called Rhythm of My Heart. It's your biography. What was it like seeing your life story interpreted through someone else's lens?
Well, we he interviewed me at length. You know, we spent one summer almost every other weekend up at my cottage in like a bays here, and we sat on the dock and we just talked. I just talked about my life, and he took notes and asked me questions, and I've known Don for a long time, so we're very comfortable around each other, and he's a terrific guy and a terrific writer too.
So it was a very laid back kind of hangout where he took notes and
Yeah,
remembered
he
things. And
recorded stuff too. He took notes, but he also recorded a lot of it.
were there memories or truths in this book that surprised even you?
Um, well, I guess it, I I sort of began to value the wisdom of my father, who was a wonderful singer himself, uh, and I remember him, and I hadn't thought about it in years, but I remember him telling me, Mark, if you want to learn to sing, because he didn't really get Bob Dylan at all. And he was a classical guy. And he said, Mark, if you want to learn to sing, listen to women. I mean, if you want to learn to, no, he didn't say that. He said, if you want to learn to sing a lyric, listen to women. Because women deal with language much differently than men do in song. And I think he was right. So I listened to a lot of Ella Fitzgerald. I listened to a lot of Billie Holiday. I listened to Nina Simone, and I listened to, people like that. And I learned a lot from them.
Why is now the right time to tell this story?
Because I'll be dead soon.
All right, that was a fast one. What do you hope readers take away that has nothing to do with music from your book?
Um, well, I still work every day, and I'm still working with Rod actually. So I I just hope people understand that it's not like, well, I'm going to do music for a couple of years and become a star, or I'm going to do it on social media and become a star. You got to work. It takes years, and it's hard work. You know, I still work just about every day. You know, and some big hours every day. Yeah, I take time off, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you've witnessed huge shifts in the music industry just from your lifespan doing music.
Yeah.
What change has affected artists the most emotionally, just and not just commercially, you think?
Well, there's not really as much blow around, which is really uh, too bad. But I don't know what to say about it. It's the whole culture has changed. And when I started, when I started, I played folk clubs, and that was a whole scene. That was a whole scene unto itself. And then, the more into pop music and stuff, and then I moved to LA. It was it was the 70s, and the 70s were its own decade. And every decade, it seems, brings a shift in the music, in the culture, and so in the way you have to, songwriters reflect the culture, and so you have to look at it, you have to absorb it, and you have to be part of it.
And what separates, lasting artists from a momentary one, do you think?
That's a good question. Well, I guess it's if the songs connect on to people's humanity, I suppose. And if they, there are people that have written one song that's great and is connected, and they're known for that. So if you connect with what it is to be a human being, I think you that's success.
And does it still excite you, like to be creative, like the same it used to, like when you first began, like, or what still excites you to be creative?
Yeah, like I, when I'm working on a song that I love, I'm excited today as I was when I was 22. I really am. I love it. I just love it.
Some people like they dream to do what you do, and how do you want your music to make people feel 50 years from today?
Well, that's interesting. It's hard for me to know what it'll seem like 50 years from now. Will it seem I think I think there's enough truth in in the music lyrically, um, that people will recognize them as songs about uh, humanity, I suppose. And that doesn't change. That's a constant. You know, um, you you either can tap into that or you can't. And if you can do it, I think people recognize it on a visceral level.
I can definitely agree with that. Rhythm of My Heart is available on Amazon or wherever you buy your books. I mean, it's going to be a great read. I'm looking forward to diving into this. Mark, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.